Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the impact report for the, let's see, 16th of September 2021. This show continues to baffle me in terms of just they're trying, but it's not a consistently good show. Also, the BTI pre show will feature No Way Jose and Falaba against Johnny Swinger and Hernandez. It screams we're just trying to create content for content's sake to have a pre-show on a television program. Falaba and No Way Jose do defeat Johnny Swinger and Hernandez on that BTI show. Sue Young and her new stable come out after the match and take one of Swinger's ladies with them. Opening video package recap of last week's setup to tonight's big 10-man tag match between Team Christian and Team Ace Austin. Decay, Black Taurus, and Crazy Steve defeat Violent by Design, Rhino, and Diener with Eric Young. Match is shortened to the point. Match itself sees Violent by Design cutting off Crazy Steve early, and Rhino attacks Steve from the apron, but then control doesn't last that long. Steve then makes a comeback against Diener. Rhino tries to help him. Diener and holds Steve in the ropes and then gets taken out. Diener and then Steve moves out of the way, leaving him open for Steve to pin Diener. Match does not need to happen. After the match, Young blames Rhino for the loss, and Rhino's had enough and confronted Young. There's a stare down between the two, and then Rhino doesn't pay attention to Diener, who attacks Rhino from behind. Doring joins in, and Young ends up breaking up the Violent by Design flagpole on Rhino's back, and I guess Rhino's a babyface now, and we're supposed to care. On the Swingers Palace, they talk about one of the valets being gone and about Impact going to Las Vegas soon, so Swinger will have to close down. TJP walks up and has winner's money after betting on the McLean over Petey Williams, and the same match then comes out to distract Williams and cost him the match. GM Miller interviews Team Cage and asks if they're ready to take on a team the size of Team Austin. Alexander and Sabin takes their opportunity to cut promos on each other, while Edwards and Callahan reminded us that they're not friends and that they're only teaming for the greater good of the Impact brand. Cage cuts a promo on Ace Austin, telling him that while he reminded him of a younger Cage, he wasn't going to be able to capitalize on it like Cage did. Petey Williams defeats TJP. Decent match for what it was. They start off with a bunch of chain wrestling and a slower paced, methodical approach to things, but then they go after picking up the pace, and Williams then gains the early advantage over TJP. TJP makes a comeback and chases the Mamba Splash, and then that prompts Williams to also chase the Destroyer at one point, and Williams has the Sharpshooter but released it to the Destroyer, and then almost gets counted out by a detonation kick. TJP then goes for three-quarter roll. Williams then tries to reverse the roll-up and win. Post-match, McLean runs in and takes over on TJP and Williams. And then Miller interviews Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows about defeating Rich Swann last week. They accepted Gallows. And then after getting everything under control, Miller asks Swann and Mac about their issues with the Good Brothers. They said they wanted to shut up the titles, which is granted to them by D'Amore, taking place at Victory Road, which I believe is this coming Saturday, so extra content for me to review here. John Skyler defeats Laredo Kid. Laredo Kid defeats Skyler last week on BTI, which is unfortunate. John Skyler deserves to have an opportunity at something bigger. Skyler cuts a promo congratulating Laredo Kid on getting luckily and defeating him. And then he also talks about having defeated Matt Cardona in his debut. He plans on defeating Laredo tonight and proving it's a fluke. And there is a reject of a handshake. and ultimately they both go at it outside the ring. Skyler is able to catch Laredo with an over-the-top belly-to-belly suplex and cuts off Laredo. Back inside the ring, and they go back and forth with a bunch of strikes. And Laredo Kid is standing dominant. And Skyler pulls on Laredo's mask, rolling him up and pulled tights to win. Seems rivalry will continue. All About Me with Tennille Dashwood, Madison Rayne, and Caleb. And after putting each other over, they welcome Taylor Wilde, who brings out Jordana Grace and Rachel Ellering with Dashwood and feels in danger and wants to cancel the show. Wilde cuts her off and brings up Dashwood, had been dodging her for a while, and they do the challenge for a match at Big Tree Road that nobody really cares about, and the promo itself didn't feel that good. Footage from earlier today, Cardona attacks Raju and Shira, and right after they arrive at the arena, Gia Miller asks Scott D'Amore about how he would deal with issues between Cardona and Raju. Cardona walked up to him and asked for a match with Raju at Victory Road, which D'Amore agreed to. No DQ match as long as it's the last time. Cardona stops attacking people backstage, and D'Amore didn't have to deal with the problems anymore. Trey Miguel defeats Matthew Reinhold. Miguel kind of has fallen flat since the departure of the Radicals. Rivalry starts when Miguel backed up Melina Perez. Reinhold cuts Miguel off early in the match. Miguel doesn't really gain any momentum, and he's managing to maintain control, cutting off Miguel's attempt to turn things around. At one point, he blocks Miguel's attempt at an arm drag and drops him arm first onto the ropes. Reinhold keeps him working over Miguel and focuses on the injured arm, but then goes on. Reinhold starting to get more and more cocky, playing to the crowd and talking trash to Miguel. Eventually, Miguel was able to get some space and pick up speed and gets enough offense on Reinhold to bring back the balance of the match. And then Miguel attempts to a split leg moonsault, but Reinhold blocks and hits a powerbomb with a fireman's carry for a big near fall. Reinhold then goes for a swanton bomb, but Miguel moves out of the way and locks Reinhold in the leg submission for a submission win and victory. Post-match, Peraza runs down and low blows Miguel and attacks him. Mickey James runs in and makes a save for that. Peraza and James brawl all around, and then James hits a dive from the top turnbuckle onto the floor on Peraza. Lots of trust there. This was worth seeing. We get a recap of Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans stealing knockout tag belts from Decay. Steelz then cuts a promo on Rosemary and Havoc, telling them that they're not real champions and that they'd stolen the titles from Steelz at Slammerversary. This kind of feels like it's a push. And then we get a recap of Chris Bay and Hakuto, which is Haku's son, and then talking about Finn Juice from last week, followed by Bay cutting a promo saying Hakuto and himself will complete the job at Victory Road. Good Brothers versus Rich Swann and Willie Mack have also been confirmed for the tag titles, and Taylor Wilde, Tennille Dashwood. And then we go to the main event, which is 10-man spas, just to get everybody in there. Christian Cage, Chris Sabin, Josh Alexander, Sami Callihan, Eddie Edwards defeat Team Ace Austin, Madman Fulton, Morrissey, Moose, and Brian Myers with Sam Beal and Ziggy Dice. This is just, I don't know, it's a cluster mess that's completely pointless. It doesn't need to be here. Let's see. So, Callihan and Austin start the match, and they basically work over Austin with a bunch of quick tags. Callihan and Edwards end up working together as a team a little bit during the match. Match quickly gets nuts. Austin makes the corner, and all 10 men get in the ring, 5-on-5. Goes on for some stretches. Back in the ring, Austin and Callihan. Myers throws Sam Beal into the ring, who is an easy distraction for Callihan, who walks into and pile drives the Kid with the distraction team. Austin is able to jump Callahan and cut him off right at the bat. Callahan then tags out quickly enough for a bit of dissension more, and then there's a spot between Saban and Alexander, but things go back in control, and then Cage is coming up with Fulton, followed by Edwards versus Moose, and then there's momentum there. Morrissey is distracted. Edwards is allowed to get in. Team Austin works over Edwards for a good bit of time, and they keep him away from his corner. He tags into other members of the team. Then we get Edwards manages to get Morrissey on his feet and then tags in Cage. And Myers then comes in, can't stop the hot tag. After the near fall from Cage, everybody starts to come in, hitting a bunch of signature moves, killing the psychology of the match. Not that there was any for a 10-man anyhow. And then Austin Cage and Austin low blows Cage, but fortunately Edwards is there. Cuts off Austin, and there's a superplex to the floor on top of the rest of the wrestlers, which is just goofy looking. In ring, Cage hits a spear on Myers, and Alexander tags in and hits a C4 on Myers for the win. Alexander has 2 mind tags in the match, but the show closes with the babyfaces celebrating, and honestly, the show does more harm than good for the product as a whole, but we'll be back with more right after this.